Firstly, I'd like to introduce you to an article from the Sydney Morning Herald dated December 16, 2010, written by Kim Arlington. It was titled "Body Language Said It All. First same-sex couple to adopt in New South Wales are great dads." The story was about a boy aged 5 at the time and his baby sister who were being fostered by a couple, 2 men, who applied to adopt these children. Their adoption was successful and they became the first same-sex couple to adopt in New South Wales. The judge released a statement saying that many in the community have expressed and continue to express a strongly held belief that adoption by same-sex couples is, in its nature, contrary to religion, to morality, and to the best interests of the child, and that it undermines the long-established concept of the nature of family. I think this is a very powerful statement, and which deconstructs society's ascribed ideals of family structure, the dominant axis of identity consisting of family, consisting of the mother, the father, and the child, and everything else being the other being what is not normal. The minority of family structures that I would teach about difference in the curriculum. Just as Parliament went on to state that his judgment was based on the interests of the children and the capabilities of the couple who he found to be exemplary parents who had raised happy and outgoing children. I believe he has based his decision on the individual identities of the father rather than a classification of the assumed identity based on what is ascribed by the majority, that being that same-sex couples are viewed as negative parents for no other reason than because of their sexual orientation. It is to the beginning of a legitimate identity, as the Adoption Act extended the definition of couple to 2 persons to include same-sex couples in that legislation. And being a single parent is an accepted legitimate identity. Before this ruling, it was okay for a single gay man or a single gay woman to adopt a child, but not for a gay couple to adopt. Being that 1 in 5 children do come from single parent families, according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, with 87% of those being, with mothers being head of those families, indicating that women are still seen as primary carers of children. That zone of difference is still there, but the gap is getting smaller as acceptance towards that single parent families moves towards a resistant identity. Attached to that story was an illustration, a cartoon. It was a picture depicting 2 men with the 2 children in the middle holding hands and smiling, and above it was the caption that said, "And they lived happily ever after." Really, the word really, assuming that it couldn't be possible or inconceivable that a gay couple or maybe a man could raise a happy, healthy, well-adjusted child without the presence of a mother. Mothers being, or women being ascribed primary caregivers and nurturers of the family, and fathers the breadwinners and the workers. I would expect that the gap between the axis of identity would get smaller as roles are reversed, with fathers taking on that nurturing role in parenting. In a classroom, it would be important to embrace and acknowledge these differences in family and otherness and take away that unknown. The Australian Institute for Family Studies found that children in grade 3 and up begin to hide or lie about their same-sex parents for fear of bullying or teasing. I would want children to view difference as difference, and it's not as something negative. These significant markers of identity we get from home and family that are important to who we are. I think it would be sad if children are not able to share those markers for fear of retribution from peers or even teachers. As discussed in the lectures with John Austin and Andrew Hickey, the visual displays and what is present in a room represent what is not being said, but what is assumed as being accepted or normal. Therefore, I would ensure that the room was set up to display inclusivity of family dynamics. I would have pictures of single parents, same-sex parents, varying cultures. I would like to make available books depicting diverse families, including same-sex parents, to help children feel included and hopefully recognise themselves in some of these stories. I was going to show some of those books for this presentation. I had intended to go to our local library and borrow a couple of books, but there was nothing available. As with our local bookstore, there was nothing available. So this group of children do not have access to stories that they can relate to. As a teacher, I would ask children to draw pictures depicting their family and themselves, and as a group we could discuss each child's picture. I would acknowledge the differences and invite children to discuss these positives about being different, what's good about having two mums or having two dads, and this would be true for divorced families with step parents. I would look at the axis of identity and the binary opposites of the mother-father roles. We would discuss the roles played in each family, and I would engage children in learning from each other. I would encourage children to be open and explore differences, but also look at things that are the same. Although families are different, there's still parts of the family that are the same. And this will promote pride and acceptance of children's families. I would ask children to bring in photographs of their families and things that they like to do together at home to support that sense of belonging. We would set up a display of their artwork, their stories, photographs, and then invite families in to view the displays and provide the opportunity for families to meet and develop that sense of community. The fact that it was that I was not able to resource materials or books about gay families for children is an obvious indicator of society's exclusion of same-sex families. We work towards teaching children about diversity and culture, yet gay families are not part of this. As identity changes and develops, I hope to enhance children's perspectives of difference and reject negative discourses relating to sexual orientation. And thank you, and that concludes my presentation.